Welcome back to the Mr. and Mrs. Muscle podcast, a show for the health-conscious individual that struggles with consistency. I'm Mike.
And I'm Viv, and today we're going to be fighting self-sabotage head-on.
Now, if you listened to the last episode, we asked you 5 questions that was to help determine if you're really trying to meet your fitness goals or if you're in self-sabotage mode. Now, Viv, what did we discover about ourselves?
We were self-sabotaging.
Okay, and how's this week been?
This week has been better, but I found that sometimes when you change your focus to improve one area of your life, another area suffers.
Yeah, and this tends to happen on that journey, of fixing these problems like self-sabotage. Anyway, those questions that we asked you in the previous episode really quickly were, what are your fitness goals and why? Do you have a morning routine? Is nutrition important to you? On a scale of 1 to 10, how healthy do you think you are? And the last question was, have you ever had a health epiphany that made you want to change your lifestyle? Now, your answers to these questions would have helped to paint a picture of honesty. Let me repeat that word, honesty. And that is step 1 in the battle through breaking through self-sabotage. So without further ado, let's get started with the episode. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right, let's do it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is pretty much discuss definition. So what is self-sabotage? And I want those of you listening to just answer what comes to your head. So really quickly, what do you think self-sabotage is?
Self-sabotage is, well, to me, basically when your actions are not necessarily something that's going to support something that you need or want in your life, that is creating a barrier rather than helping things flow.
Okay, and I suspect most people pretty much said something similar or the same thing. Now, the interesting thing here is if you actually look for a dictionary definition of self-sabotage, you won't find one. So if you typed in what is self-sabotage into Google, immediately you're going to find, I've actually got an answer here, you're going to find something that says when people do or don't do things that block their success or prevent themselves from accomplishing their goals, which is pretty much similar to what you just said.
Yeah, I guess it's hard to define, isn't it? Because that could be so many different things.
I agree. Yeah. And I think anytime it comes to defining something to do with the self, we often find that we start going into the psychological territory. So we start looking for psychological definitions. You're going to find a whole wealth of different research, different opinions from experts. But the reason that I want to hone in on the definition of self-sabotage is if I asked you to define sabotage, something that actually has a universal definition that we all pretty much agree with and understand, what would you say sabotage is?
To deliberately mess something up, pretty much, or deter something. Yeah.
Pretty much spot on. Yeah. So like, if you was to go and look at the dictionary definition of sabotage, the answer that you're going to find is to deliberately destroy, damage, or obstruct something. So if I was to say to you again, what is self-sabotage, would you consider your answer to be different to the first time that you answered it?
I guess so, yeah, because you are putting up blocks, aren't you?
You are.
You are.
But the key operative word here is deliberate. So essentially what we're dealing with is we're dealing with the importance of definition here and not kind of like muddling it. And like I said, if you looked for a dictionary definition of self-sabotage, you won't find one. But when you look for the definition of sabotage, you will find one that is universally understood: to deliberately destroy, damage, or obstruct something. So I kind of think the first step in really trying to fix something, I mean, how can you fix something that you don't understand or know what it is? So I would say defining things is really key.
Yeah.
And I think, look, anyone that knows me or has had a conversation with me for longer than an hour understands that. Yeah, Viv's had plenty. I'm very big on definition.
Send help, please.
Yeah, it's true. She's like, Viv and I can have conversations and they're going to appear one-sided for hours. I could actually talk to Viv for 4 or 5 hours straight.
Yeah, you really can.
Yeah, and she doesn't like it. Okay, so hopefully we've got a definition here of self-sabotage that you guys understand. So let's have a quick look at why we self-sabotage. Really quickly, in your opinion, why do most of us self-sabotage? What kind of causes that?
I would say self-belief. Fear is definitely a huge one. I'm pretty sure there's other reasons, but those ones I suppose would be my reasons for self-sabotage.
Okay.
And maybe a lack of understanding.
Yeah, I agree. I think all of the above and all of those. And so, like, I've been reading loads and loads of articles when it comes to self-sabotage, a few research papers, and the most common reasons as to why we self-sabotage include fear, limiting beliefs, and negative self-talk. So I want to quickly kind of touch on each of those, starting with fear. Like, firstly, are there things you feel that you fear? Now, it sounds like, again, this obvious question. And I want those of you that are listening or watching at home to kind of like try and answer these questions as we go along. But let's talk fear. Firstly, are there things that you fear?
I can speak of things that I feared in the past. I'm not really sure about what I fear right now, but
Love that.
I fear sometimes the unknown. That's a huge one, actually. What else do I fear? Failure. Well, I used to fear failure. This is the thing. It's like
I love this.
It's things that I suppose used to hold me back and were like self-sabotaging behaviors and barriers to me. But these are things that I've only, I guess, recently overcome, which I'm so happy about because life really does open up when you do. So going back to the question, which was,
Do you fear things?
do I fear things? What things do I fear?
More do you fear things?
Not so much.
You see, and the reason I love this is, okay, if I'd asked you that question, I don't know, let's say 6 months ago, would you have said the same thing?
Yes. Yeah. Definitely, because also my biggest fear, which I've just overcome. When was it? February? Driving. I passed my driving test.
Woo! Let me find that button. I wanted to use this. I don't know. Well done. Well done.
But driving was a big fear for me, and it was also about trusting myself.
Yep.
And also not being overwhelmed. So trusting my reactions, like on the road. Am I going to actually be capable of doing this and driving? And one of the things that actually obstructed me in that was overthinking.
Yep. This is really interesting.
Yeah.
Sorry, like kind of you touched on something earlier. You said the word uncertainty, which is really key when it comes to fear. Because if you said to yourself, I mean, those of you that answered at home, do you fear things? Do you fear anything? It's likely everyone said, yeah, I'm sure there's something that I do fear. And it might not come to our minds like straight away, but the reality of the situation is fear tends to come from the unknown, uncertainty, unknown things. And so when it comes to us addressing things, I think acceptance is one of the most important things in defeating fear. Accept that you don't know, but also understand that if you don't know something, there is a way to find out. And finding out often means taking action. And that's something that you've done, Viz done recently a hell of a lot, which is amazing. And starting with the driving, passing your driving test, getting your car. So she got a car like 3 weeks after?
Yeah.
Just so many things happening in quick succession when you take action. So again, kind of bringing it back to the topic of self-sabotage and one of those reasons being through fear. Acceptance here would be a very good thing to focus on. Accept that you're afraid. Accept you're afraid because you're uncertain and you don't know. But that's the best part. You now know that you're only afraid because you're uncertain. So if you start switching your mind towards
But I think there's other reasons for being fearful. Like, for instance, is there danger? Is this a dangerous situation I'm in?
Yeah.
You know?
Is that specifically driving you're talking about or in general?
Just in general. And fear is different for different things, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, of course.
That makes sense. So yeah,
Okay.
that's something to consider as well.
So again, fear, understanding fear, uncertainty and unknown, it's natural. But if you make peace and accept that, you now know how to put one foot in front of the other, or at least how to approach your fear. But the second thing that was quite common that we talked about was limiting beliefs. Very, very, very big one. Limiting beliefs. You know, do you feel, and again, try to kind of just think from your own experience. Have you had limiting beliefs?
Oh, definitely. I couldn't imagine myself doing certain things. So that instantly is a major limit. If you can't see yourself doing something, then it's almost as if it will never happen because you don't even entertain the idea of just visualizing it rather than just doing the steps that would get you to actually doing it.
Yeah, 100%. And the same goes, I guess, for everybody. Now, I think the thing that's interesting, and it's a blessing that you and I have been together over 17 years, and you've known me like all of my adult life. I'm someone that very, very young was fortunate enough to have read books like The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale. These are books that belong to my granddad. The Master Key, The Secret. And when you're young, your brain is quite malleable, you're quite plastic. You can learn things quite quickly, quite easily. And I guess learning about the belief system when I was so young and kind of what shapes the belief system has helped me kind of reinforce certain beliefs like being positive. And I don't just mean being positive from the perspective of think positively and kind of look at the outcomes. I mean, I'm talking use of words, ending your sentences where possible on a positive, waking up, ensuring that the first thing that comes to your mind is a positive. So definitely when it comes to beliefs and the belief system, I mean, if that's something that someone is faced with, like a limiting belief, in your opinion, and thinking more about you and what you've overcome recently, how would you advise someone go about trying to overcome a limiting belief?
It is really tricky to even advise, but I suppose what happened with me is that I just got so sick and tired of having these same thoughts and just living the same kind of cycle over and over again that I wanted to do something different. You know, you can't get an outcome if you don't change. Like if you have one way of thinking and it's not working, or one way of doing something and it's not working, you can't get the outcome you desire if you continue doing that.
It's kind of like, it reminds me of Einstein's kind of like definition of insanity, like repeating those same
I think
actions
that's
and
what
expecting a different
what
result.
I was thinking and it makes so much sense.
100%. I think it all comes down to taking that good look at yourself. And also you have to understand where beliefs come from. So belief systems come from essentially what you know, what you've been taught, or kind of what's been instilled in you. And you know what I think is a big topic, which I don't know if it's something that we can kind of go into great depth on this particular episode, but especially what shaped our beliefs when we were younger. Obviously parents, that's a massive one. The education system is a massive one. And when you understand that your beliefs were shaped from when you were younger, they were put there or instilled there by what we deemed as an authority or an authoritative source. So it's really, really hard.
Like society
to
as
challenge,
well, what you see and what is popular out in society.
100%. I think that reinforces what was authoritative that kind of initially installed beliefs in us.
Yeah.
And then if you start seeing things, let's say social media. Yeah, we say society, but a lot of us are online these days. So let's say you now start seeing these things that you've believed in for a long time on social. Why I kind of think that right now, that's a dangerous thing. And I know I'm going a little bit off topic here, but I think it's a bit of a dangerous thing because when it comes to social media, at this particular minute, algorithms, the way that they design them, they're focused on something known as an interest graph. And what that means is you're going to be shown what it deems you're interested in most of the time. And that kind of creates what we call echo chambers. So if you are someone that, let's say you're trying to get out of a bad habit, or, you know, you're the self-sabotager and you're constantly looking for that help, you'll just be constantly shown things that are supposed to help you, but also reiterate what you're going through, which causes a cycle. So addressing the limiting beliefs system with you trying to understand that it's going to come from you, what you know, and trying to break away from some of those authoritative figures that had been present in your life when you were younger, I think that's also a very important step.
And I think that, like, in life, we're not the same. So when we were installed with these beliefs, we've changed over
100%.
the years. And you have to adapt just how you do things because of that.
So we've covered fear, limiting self-beliefs. These are some of the major reasons as to why you at home may be self-sabotaging. And one other really common reason is negative self-talk. And I think like all of these are very much linked together. So let's quickly talk negative self-talk. Again, that's directly linked to your belief system.
Yeah, definitely.
But there was something really good that you started, and that was on YouTube, and that was the affirmation challenge.
Yeah.
Are you a big believer in affirmations? Do you think they work? Like, what's your thoughts on affirmations?
I definitely think it's a lot better to think of yourself positive, in a positive light than negative light. And I feel like if you're going to always be saying these negative actions or negative thoughts about yourself, you won't change. So when you say the positive, I am confident, I'm in control, it stimulates the confidence. It stimulates taking charge and doing things to, take control.
The power of the words, I am.
Yeah.
Put some bass into that.
But with the affirmation challenge,
Sorry.
with the affirmation challenge, I really, really wanted to marry mindset with movement, because action is so important. And it's always good to just get your body moving anyway.
That's brilliant. For those of you listening, or those of you that are new to the Mr. and Mrs. Muscle channel, the affirmation challenge can be found on YouTube. So make sure that you look up the affirmation challenge. It's also on the app for those app users. Just scroll down to challenges and you'll find it's a 30-day affirmation challenge, but it's brilliant. So there we have it. We have 3 common reasons as to why self-sabotage is happening in your life: negative self-talk, fear, and limiting beliefs. Now, of course, there are other things to consider, such as traumas, be it through adulthood or childhood. And those things are very real, and definitely, seeking help for those things or talking through those things is important. But there's also the element of self-sabotaging and not knowing it. Now, I've actually put a list together, and when I put this list together, Viv, I was super surprised, and I'll tell you why. I was super surprised because I find myself very, very confident. I'm routine-driven. Yes, I self-sabotage on some goals. That's what I believe. But when I looked at this list, I was like, no, I'm definitely self-sabotaging way more than I told you that I was the other day.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you guys and girls at home some uncommon and common signs that you may be self-sabotaging. Right. Over planning and over researching. Can you imagine? Now, I love reading. I said this in the previous episode. I love reading. I love researching. I love doing that. So for me, I wouldn't really look at that as self-sabotaging, but I want to know what you think. When you see me do a lot of that, you know what my behaviors are like.
But this is the thing. Yeah, I have seen you over the years, and you've done a lot of planning, and sometimes it's not always followed by action, or you might take the action, but then you'll change it. And then, so that's where the sabotage actually comes in. It's like, okay, yeah, it's great. You made this plan, you took the action, but now you're replanning and you're changing it.
Super guilty. I can't even argue because I'm so guilty of that I was like, man, do I even want to include this on the list? I was like, do I want to bring this up to Viv? Because all those times where she hasn't used the word self-sabotage, but it kind of just means that, I too obviously have to listen from that different perspective because it's true. But those of you who might be like me, who love a bit of research, definitely love a plan, try and follow up with action. Yeah. More action than planning.
No, but you took the action. This is the thing. You take the action and it's just changing it. It's just sticking with something. Whereas me, I would do research. I wouldn't even finish the plan. I'm not gonna lie. I would get into it. I'd start off and it'll be great. And then I'll start overthinking. Is this right? Is this correct?
And that too is a form of self-sabotage. Yeah.
That could go wrong.
So on one end of the spectrum, you've got someone that's under research, overthinking. That's also self-sabotage. And then you've got someone who's over researching, over planning, and then kind of changing their mind, also self-sabotage. So if you're at home and you're similar and you're doing those things, it's a sign of self-sabotage. P.S. Can you say P.S. in a podcast? P.S.
You did, so yeah.
Please say. All right. P.S. Don't you worry if you are a self-sabotager. At least by the end of this episode, we are going to have some actionable tips that you can kind of work through. So keep tuning in, keep listening. Yeah. Right. The next uncommon sign, micromanaging. Can you imagine? I felt so attacked. I
didn't even need to say anything. I just got to listen to this list.
You know what I had to do? I had to research. Oh my gosh, I did it. Over researching. I had to research, and I was looking for where it said Viv Addo. I was like, she wrote this, man. She wrote this. Couldn't find it. Micromanaging. Now, do you know what? I'm not even going to try and accept the micromanaging part. It's just that it's tough, man. Viv she said to me before, I like to micromanage. But I'm also someone that, I also take a step back, and I have this. Proof is that I've taken steps back where I don't micromanage, and maybe the same result ensues. So I'm going to accept that micromanaging is a form of self-sabotage. I definitely think there are some positives. Is there a positive to micromanaging? Is there someone?
Not for the person you're micromanaging.
Yeah, to be fair.
It's a trust thing as well, isn't it? But you have
trust
to
and
give
control.
people space to do what they're gonna do.
Yeah, it's a trust and control thing. I was definitely shocked by the micromanaging thing. Not because I feel like I micromanage, but more so because I've heard you say to me, I micromanage, and I don't see it, and I didn't see it. That's why I was like, Viv definitely wrote this. She wrote this art. But yeah, so micromanaging. Trust. I like that you brought that up because I guess that's why some people might micromanage.
Yeah.
You like to oversee things. And also all of this, by the
Make
way,
sure that it gets done and it gets done well.
that's rooted in perfectionism.
Yeah.
Something, and it's the truth. Like, I again wouldn't look at myself as I'm a perfectionist, and this is the truth. Like, I'm like, I call myself a professional amateur. I'm ready to send things out, and you're like, no, it needs to be more polished and ready. And
Yeah.
but
I feel like it's actually interesting. Is it really perfectionism or is it just like a standard?
no. Do you know what? That is definitely an entire episode in itself. Perfectionism, standards, expectations, perfectionism. What can we really call these things, and are they the same? Right. Oh, again, I told you, don't even look.
Oh, okay.
The next one, disorganization. Right now, if this was like a versus in the middle, Viv is just winning this.
Well, no, because actually these things I have, but I feel like we react off of each other.
100%.
So I feel like when things are chaos around me, especially like being disorganized or something that's not organized, so I am literally in my mind. That's what my mind is like.
Yeah.
I can't make sense of things.
So yours is more an internal disorganization, and mine is a massive external disorganization.
Yes. Yeah.
In my defense, I know where everything in my mess goes and belongs. So I don't know. Some of you out there that might be called, I don't know, somewhat messy, and we call it organized mess. And to everybody else on the outside, it's disorganization. I don't know. I mean, do you agree? Do you still feel you're disorganized? Or if you know where everything is, but it looks messy to someone else, you're still organized? I don't know. I'll leave that to the squad to come.
I think that many people probably have this because I get the same. Like I have things all over the place, but at the end, when I'm finished, I'll put things back.
Yeah, but you're
Whereas
referring to taking something out and then putting it back.
Yeah, you would have just everything and you'd leave it there.
No,
and
no,
then
no,
you'll go
no,
somewhere
no.
else,
No,
make a mess.
This is not true. I wish I could use a remote on the cam to go.
If I had a video camera for our life, I
Yep.
would literally play back even just today.
Okay, where's the mess?
I've tidied it up.
Do you know what the next one is as well? This is what I feel.
Go on, go
All right,
on.
I'm moving on to the next one.
We've got some work to do.
Talking too much. Can you imagine? I know for a fact, at this point, I was starting to look at bank accounts. I was like, Viv has paid someone to write this. To be fair, this came from several different sources, but talking too much. Can you imagine? But again,
I didn't expect to laugh so much.
self-sabotage. Maybe what they meant by talking too much is too much talk, not enough action. Because I'm definitely an action man. I take actions. So I think, you know what, I feel
like you don't take as many actions as you do.
well, it depends what I'm
You take
speaking
lots of
about.
actions.
I take several actions.
Honestly, like those conversations that we have, they go on. Like they could be a lot more.
No, this is
precise.
okay. That's there's no proving that to the people listening that that's the situation.
But trust me.
So it's your word
Trust me.
against mine. So that one we can't even when it's 50-50. But in reality,
You're
yeah,
arguing with me, so it means
I'm
that
arguing.
really
That's not argument.
I'm telling the truth.
So we've got talking too much. We've got over planning, over researching, which is rooted in perfectionism. Micromanaging, also a form of perfectionism. Disorganization, that's like the opposite of perfectionism, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Talking too much. Okay, all right, now this is where it starts coming to my side. Refusing to ask for help. Refusing to ask for help.
Who's that?
I would say that's more you.
I would you. I did.
How long
Because
conversation?
where was the first half of that list?
So what, you're just taking this as in like to make me feel that you're taking that one? No. So
Oh, go on.
when it comes to, let's say, refusing to ask for help, and I think this is something that a lot of people do. I don't necessarily think there are some people that refuse to ask for help because they're just like, oh, I can do it all myself. It's also the element of fearing that if you ask for help, you somehow didn't try hard enough to do it yourself. Like, when it comes to, let's say, asking for help, which I don't know, I don't feel like you do that often. I think you tell me, I mean, what would be a reason for you not asking for help? Or someone not asking for help?
Fear of how someone will respond to them. Hearing something that you don't want to hear.
Yeah.
You might need to hear it, but you don't want to hear it. Or feeling like you're releasing control, I guess.
Okay. I think all of those are interesting. So not wanting to hear essentially criticism, control, so a lot of these things when it comes to kind of like refusing to ask for help, if you're someone that is listening or watching and you're someone that refuses to ask for help, try to ask yourself why. And if your answers are rooted in, oh, I'm scared about what they're going to say and how they're going to critique me
And how you'll look.
and how you're going to look, that kind of judgment. I mean, you kind of just have to ask yourself at that point, is that a satisfactory answer? And you're likely going to be like, actually, it's not. Which means there is some work to do on that front. Let's talk about another uncommon one. Prioritizing others' needs and wants. Actually, I think that's common. Prioritizing others' needs and wants before your own. That's a challenging one because I kind of understand why someone might prioritize someone's needs. It could be out of duty of care, it could be out of love, again, fear. It could be out of a number of things.
I
But
also think that these things become habits. Like you get used to sometimes taking care or thinking of someone else above yourself. And then you don't really think how it's going to affect me or what do I need.
yeah, I'm sure a lot of parents out there can probably resonate with that, or a lot of people in relationships or in any sort of kind of responsible position, could be an older sibling, can relate with that. And I think the only thing I can really say is start taking some you time. I like to refer to the animal kingdom a lot. Like in our conversations, I always say,
okay.
like, if you look at, let's say, lions, I don't know, there's the mother lion has some cubs, and if that cub can survive, good. It forces it to do what it's got to do. If it can't, it gives it two options. It either abandons it or it kills it. Now, if anyone is an animal specialist, just correct me if I'm wrong. But I kind of look at this whole thing of, when you look at the animal kingdom, they don't kind of have their hand in each other's pockets and focus on, fighting for that food and then bringing it to them. Not all the time. So I kind of think it's really important for you to kind of do stuff for yourself, take some you time, learn about yourself, fall in love with you. What do you like to do? I think that's really important.
Yeah, reconnect.
Reconnect.
I think, yeah, especially if you've been doing something for a long time, I find it's hard. And then I think if you do have like dependents or people that you have been taking care of, you feel guilty for even doing those kind of things. Like thinking of yourself, you say, oh, I'm being selfish, but it really isn't. You can serve people so much better when you serve yourself.
Oh, I love that. Hear that? Take note of that. Right, the next one, also a common one. It's not uncommon. We've got procrastination. We've got avoiding risks.
Oh yeah, that was like me as well.
Yeah.
Like I had the biggest fear of failure. So I wouldn't take any risks. I would be super safe. And I didn't even try anything because I just didn't want to fail. I just didn't want to entertain it. And then I was just stagnant for the longest time. And that was just really frustrating. And I just felt like I wasn't growing. I kind of was like in my own little world, in my own little bubble. And it was just like tension and like a lot of anxiety. And when I actually opened up and I started taking risks and chances, creating experiences, then I was like, oh.
Yeah. I mean, again, from a really young age, and you knew this, like, I've never feared failing. Like, for me, failure is one of the best teachers in the world.
So I have to retrain myself.
Yeah.
And to tell myself that actually this is learning.
Like,
And it really is learning.
no, it is. And if anyone kind of wants a tip on how to kind of retrain or reframe failure to yourself, look at it this way. Firstly, if you're someone that doesn't like failure, like, how do you consider yourself a beginner at anything? You're essentially expecting yourself to be at the final stages of things pretty much instantly. You're expecting yourself to be good instantly. Like, this could be, I'll use driving as an example. You're not going to get into a car and then all of a sudden be like, well, you taught me this part, I expect to instantly pass and be ready. Because what you then end up faced with in the real world is, and this is if you, for example, let's say you were forced through, or someone like passed you and you weren't ready to pass because you didn't like failure. This wouldn't happen, I hope. But you'd now go onto the road thinking, well, I've passed, I didn't fail. And you'd be met with real world situations that you're not prepared for. And what failure does is it prepares you for several different situations.
That's so true.
And it emotionally prepares you as well. You've got to learn how to fail, and you've got to learn
How to
the
deal
mistakes.
with that. Yeah, you have to really process that.
Yeah, I think it's really important. So
true.
if you have a fear of failure, just reframe. Just focus on the fact that If you fail, it's because you've still got something to learn. And if you've still got something to learn, that's a great thing. We're all students in this world.
I think it's the perception, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
perception really is everything. It's like the way that you choose to see it. So if you're seeing it and it's not a way that's actually going to benefit you or help you kind of like get out of that kind of comfort zone, try it looking from another angle
Yeah,
or
definitely.
another point of view.
For sure. Right. So we've covered a lot of signs that could indicate that you are in self-sabotage mode and you may not have even know, like myself, like I discovered. Let's talk about some tips that would be really helpful, some actionable tips you can take today that would be helpful in breaking through self-sabotage, tips that are going to complement the questions that we asked you to answer in the previous episode. So the first one is identify your self-sabotaging behaviors. What's the best way to identify your self-sabotaging behaviors?
I suppose go through that list that that you just gone through
Definitely.
and just see in what instances it applies to you, and then maybe how you could change.
Yeah, we mentioned in the previous episode as well about journaling. Now, I know what I'm going to do this time around. I think it's important I told some of you, I don't necessarily journal, but I write notes and thoughts regarding business. I think what has to change is I start journaling my actions, my thoughts about me, what I've done, what I've gone through, because that's the best way to self-reflect. So if you're someone that isn't journaling, I highly recommend you grab that pen and paper. Don't do it on the phone. Give yourself a break from the electronics. Go old school, old fashioned, write it down.
Yeah.
That self-reflection is going to kind of help you see. It's going to build you a real picture of what you're like, what you've been doing, and kind of where you're going wrong or what behaviors you're repeating. So
Yeah. And it
definitely
also
journal.
gets the thoughts and just things out of your head. And when you read it back, you're like, oh.
Oh, that's,
you know,
that's actually true. It's so amazing.
This isn't how I want to be, or, I should be. You can actually see the things that are hindering you. You want to, like when you read your story, so sometimes I journal in many different ways. So I read it back and I might read it out loud. And then if it's been really heavy or like negative, I'll be like, well, how can I change this? I want to change the story. So when I read it back and it's nice to see the growth, but at the same time, you want to make sure that you are kind of changing things for a more pleasant experience.
Yeah,
so
I think
when you read back, it's like that's a fond memory.
it's like seeing your growth journey in rough. It's like reading the book of your life. Like think of your journal as the book of your life. And it was like you read something from your journal entries. I think it was about a week ago, and we could hear the difference in tone. And so like I think
Was it a week ago or 10 days? I think it was about 10 days because
well, either way, it was over a week ago. But you could see, and this was like, how far back did you read from? Was it 20?
I actually got my old journal out from 2020.
So
yeah,
like, and what I found
But then
interesting
compared over
was the tone change, the tone shift. You can really hear that difference and see that difference. And I think that's such a powerful way to kind of reinforce that you're on your growth journey. So that if any kind of like bad or negative days happen or you see them ahead, you're kind of like, do you know what? I already know that even though this is here, it's a small bump. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't change anything. And you can keep continuing growing.
I think that was nice as well because I could see that the journey is an ongoing journey, and I was making huge efforts then, and I'm still making huge efforts now, but things are getting easier. So now I can add things because I can cope with more.
I love that. Essentially, guys, girls, you're writing a manual to your life and the life that you want to manifest. It's just a brilliant thing to do. So highly recommend, if you haven't started journaling, journal. Just get your journal out. And if you are journaling, keep it up, look for your old entries and see if you've noticed any changes. Good or bad, just notice the changes because that's a great way to kind of start. The next tip would be challenge your limiting beliefs. We kind of touched on that, but the easiest way to challenge those limiting beliefs is to take action, take risks. Positive affirmations, who installed or where did those belief systems come from? Rewrite, recode your brain, recode you. So any favorite affirmations that you might have?
I had one that I wrote in my journal for the longest time. I am strong. I think strength has always been like really important to me, like mental strength, physical strength, just strong. I wanted to embody strength.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it was, but a while ago, I either saw a little clip of a video or read something where it was like, the certain thing that you want, life is going to give you the circumstances for you to become. So sometimes you go through so much turmoil in order to be that. And I feel like what I went through, especially, I feel like I've had a long journey, but especially from 2020 till now, like, I feel like I've definitely earned that I am strong, and
Well,
I
love
can
that.
embody that now, and I feel good.
I love that. I think, for me, I used to use the I ams a lot. And recently I've switched to I'm grateful for. I started going down this route of the law of assumption and assuming it's already present in my life. I'm grateful for being strong. I'm grateful for everything that we have. And I actually am. I'm grateful for our
Covers
life.
everything.
I'm grateful. Yeah, like,
I love it.
but gratitude to me is one of the most powerful things that you can express.
I think, yeah, it's
know?
the feeling of gratitude.
Sorry, that's it. The feeling.
Feeling is amazing.
It's incredible.
And when I read my journal, I did a whole month basically of 3 things I was grateful for. And I really wanted to feel the gratitude, but I couldn't always feel it. And I really did struggle. But this year, I have been able to feel gratitude. And it is one of those, it's like, for me, I love connecting with nature. I like going to mountains and just like looking at the scenery and just like breathing in the view. I feel like I'm tingling everywhere. The air is fresh. Like, I just feel so alive. And I feel like that is what gratitude feels like.
That's amazing. And obviously, being here in Dubai, it's not that you can't necessarily find those feelings, but where we live, in the city, in the heart of like the financial center, that's not necessarily around you. And so if you can kind
I'll
of
feel it. I like my beach mornings with the walks, and I'm just like walking in the water.
Grounding, that's a good thing to do.
You do get it, but it's nicer when it's quieter.
Of course.
Because it can get really busy.
But I kind of wanted to just kind of emphasize what you just said. That feeling of gratitude almost mimics that feeling of you being in nature. And I guess gratitude, meditation, these things are all linked to you connecting to you, your spirituality, the universe. So gratitude is a huge thing. Maybe start a gratitude journal if you don't know what to kind of document. That would help. Set realistic goals. That's another tip. Goals. We follow a SMART goal system. Do you remember what SMART goals stand for?
Specific.
Yep. Measurable.
Oh, I'm thinking P. Why am I thinking P? SP. I'm spelling specific. M. Measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound.
Yep. So you hear that? So you want to make sure that your goals have at least all of those things attached. You want to be very specific when it comes to goals. Yeah.
Yes.
The brain does not understand, vagueness. It doesn't understand being vague. Be really specific with what you're trying to achieve. And don't do this. If you're someone that does this at home, where like, let's just say I'm going to use money as a goal. Let's say you said, I want to have millions, and you're nowhere close to having millions. Let's say you're not even close to having a couple 100,000. Don't be the person that sets the unrealistic goal. So you can still be specific, but your goals have to be realistic. So if you set a specific goal that's unrealistic, doesn't even cover the initial steps to getting there, that too is also going to hinder you. You're not going to feel like you're working towards that goal, and that's going to set you back. So
when setting goals, you can set that long-term goal.
That's it.
And know that's what you're working towards. And then you set multiple little goals that are just going to get you there, and you're going to go on a journey with those.
Amazing. Last tip before we sign off today's show. The last tip is practice self-care. Super important. Really quickly, self-care. What kind of self-care tips would you offer?
Ooh. Okay, so find time for yourself where you could just have peace. You can read, you can do whatever kind of like fuels you or feeds your soul.
Feeds your soul.
Move your body. And stimulate all those chemical reactions and those like releases in your body, the endorphin release, the dopamine, all sorts. Get your muscles fired up, and stimulate your brain. I guess that's like with reading. What else? self-care. Do something that you're going to enjoy. If it's something that's going to make you laugh, or say you like, I don't know, shopping, or I have a thing for bags. So
Hey. I feel like you're trying
I like a lot of things though. I like exercise as well.
The way that you slipped that in there, and it almost bypassed me as well. It almost went into my subconscious. Bags, buy her bags.
But you can just research. Even, do you know what? I don't actually shop that much, and I've never really been a huge shopper, to be honest. What I like to do is I just look online at all the things that I would like, and that
That's how it begins.
No, but I don't buy it because I don't actually need it. But it gives me enough joy, so I feel good.
Digital retail therapy. Self-care. Yeah, I'd echo, what you said. Hydrate. Drink your water.
Yeah.
Eat. Consciously eat.
Good food. Yeah.
Yeah, eat good food.
It's a big one.
I'm going to say what Viv said in the first episode, in previous episode. Eating is an experience, and it's true. Like, take your time. Be thankful for the food that you're eating and let it energize you. There's a study out there that someone did on speaking to water and just speaking to things in general. So like using positive words to speak to, let's say, water, and they did the test and they could see the effect it had. When you froze the water, you could see that there was different patterns. Someone also did the same thing with rice. They had a box of rice that they spoke to only positive words and felt it. Then they had a box of rice that they spoke negative words to. And then they had a box that they just spoke positive words, but with no feeling. And the results and the study of that were really surprising. Now, again, don't quote me on it, you just have to do the research. But in the negative box, there was a lot of mold. In the box where it was spoken positively, but not necessarily with emotion, there was some mold, not a lot. And in the one that there was positive words spoken, you couldn't see any visible mold. So again, kind of like treat your food as an experience, treat the things that you drink as an experience, be grateful for everything. That's part of self-care.
Saying that, sorry to interject, if you're saying these negative things in your mind, having these thoughts, imagine what that's doing to your body.
Oh, 100%.
So those positive affirmations can turn things around, or
really
just saying positive things about yourself, or at least just stop with the negativity. Just shut that thought down. For sure.
So we're coming to the end of this episode. I can see that we kind of ran over on time. Now, last episode, we mentioned about motivation. Someone had a question about kind of losing their mojo. And I did say we were going to talk about that in this episode. We're actually going to shift that to the next episode. We're going to make it all about motivation, how you can stay motivated, and talk to you a little bit about rewards and the link with motivation. So I just want to say a big thank you to everybody for tuning in again, listening to the Mr. and Mrs. Muscle podcast. We're really excited to be talking to you, really excited to be showing you this side of ourselves. And if you haven't already, do check out our website, MrandMrsMuscle.com. There you will find links to our mobile app, which is fantastic. It's got programs, plans, you've got downloadable trackers. We have a very extensive stretch and rehabilitation section.
And meal plans.
And meal plans. So there's more things coming to the app. So if you haven't checked it out, go check it out. You get a 7-day free trial, so you can test all the features, full access. Make sure wherever you're listening to this episode or watching this episode, you are subscribed. And we look forward to the next episode.
Yeah.
Peace.
Peace.